welcome back to my channel. So today's video I just wanted to kind of come on and kind of talk to you guys and have a little bit of a chat about a line of makeup brushes that I've been kind of like observing and discovering over a while now, but more so recently, and they are from Models Prefer. And now if you know Models Prefer, if you're in Australia, it is kind of like a makeup and brush brand. They do sell brushes, but they also sell makeup as well. They do have some really nice makeup products. I don't dwell too much into their makeup products. I have a couple of them, but they do make some really good stuff. And recently I was starting to look at their line of brushes and starting to see that it was actually growing a lot more than it has when they first come out, and they're starting to introduce all of these new brushes that look really professional. And I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I go into some place like Priceline or like the drugstore, I always find it really hard to find good brushes for kind of my level of makeup artistry. Like if you're a beginner, Priceline has some really great brushes from like Eco Tools, and they have some ones from like Beauty Essentials and all that sort of stuff, but they're typically kind of just regular everyday makeup brushes, like, you know, typical foundation brushes, typical powder brushes. They don't really go into that versatility, and they don't really look that professional or that different. And I've noticed that this brand, Models Prefer, have been coming out with really professional looking, versatile makeup brushes that you can kind of use if you've sort of been into makeup for a while and you like experimenting with different brushes and how different brushes work. So I kind of wanted to share with you guys, and I have like a few more makeup brushes that are eye brushes, but I thought that I'd share with you guys the face brushes from Models Prefer. They mightn't be too much cheaper, but they definitely are cheaper than Sigma. And this is what they look like. These are the ones that I have. When Models Prefer, like when I first started looking at their makeup brushes, they had just like your typical foundation brush and concealer. They had a lot of like dual-ended brushes when I first discovered them. And once again, it was just kind of good, you know, if you just are sort of a beginner with makeup, but if you kind of wanted to experiment with different sorts of brushes, it was kind of crap. And then they started to come out with these ones, which this is a powder brush that I have, and they have like this silver kind of grey taupe handle. This is the powder brush, and these started to look a lot more professional. I got like an airbrush foundation brush, which was kind of like this but more dense, and they started to come out with these more professional makeup brushes, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, you know. And I was going, whenever I looked for makeup brushes at Priceline, because that's mainly where I buy them from, I would always go to the Models Prefer counter to get them, not anywhere else. And then they started to come out with these makeup brushes, which look exactly like Sigma brushes, and I don't know whether or not they're trying to look like Sigma brushes or whether they're just coming out with brushes that are kind of versatile because they have like the black handles and they're just kind of plain. But I really am really starting to love that they're coming out with all of these really versatile makeup brushes. They don't just have the typical foundation brush, the typical powder brush. They look really professional, and they look pretty much exactly like Sigma brushes. I have 4 here. 2 of them I've just recently purchased. This one is the airbrush contour. So you don't see a lot of like cheaper brands coming out with brushes that look like this, and they're not super cheap, but they are cheaper than Sigma, and they are relatively cheaper than like a MAC brush or a NARS brush or something like that. I got this one for foundation, but it's a little bit too small, so I don't really know what I'm going to use that one for. This is the tapered highlight and contour brush. So this looks really similar to the Sigma tapered highlighter blush or contour brush or whatever it's called. You can use this for contour. I use this for setting underneath my eyes, and I've also used it for highlight as well, which I really like. I also have this one here, which is the airbrush concealer brush. So it's just a really nice kind of dense fluffy brush that you can use for blending out concealer. I typically just use it for facial concealer. And then one that I recently got, which is the airbrush foundation brush. They have reformulated this one. They did have an airbrush foundation brush in the silver taupey handle. I don't think they have it anymore. They have this one. This reminds me of the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. It's got that domed kind of look, and it's sort of like a kabuki one. It's not as dense though as the Expert Face Brush, so it buffs out product a little bit nicer. I use this with my foundation today, and I love it. It looks really airbrush, as it says. But I just really like the look of these, like the packaging of these brushes, and I just really like the fact that they have so many brushes now in this range and so many different versatile brushes. It just makes it so much easier now. Like I was gonna go and purchase this brush from Sigma, but I'm not going to do it anymore because I have this one and it's just so much easier. There are still a couple of brushes that I want from Sigma that they don't sell in this range. Like I don't like the look of their blush brush that they have in this Models Prefer range. I want one from Sigma. This brush here, which is the Airbrush Contour, I was using this for blending out my under eye concealer. I'm now using the Real Techniques contour brush. I was using this for blending out concealer, and I thought that I could use this instead of the tapered concealer brush, or whatever it's called, the tapered kabuki from Sigma. This is a little bit stiff, so I don't really like using it for underneath my eyes for that, but they are soft brushes. Like this one's really soft, all of these are really soft. This one's just a little bit stiff for underneath the eyes, so I don't choose to use it for that. But I just really, really like it, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I thought if any of you haven't tried Models Prefer brushes, or you don't necessarily want to fork out the extra cash on Sigma or MAC, or you don't want to order online and have everything ship and have to pay for shipping, definitely try out Models Prefer because they are just coming up on their game with their makeup brushes. This is the Sigma brush that I have. It's the Sigma F80 Flat Top Kabuki. It's a pretty popular brush, and as you can see, like, they're pretty much the same packaging. This one you can sort of feel, at least with these two, this one does feel a little bit better than this one. This one feels very lightweight, whereas this one feels a lot heavier. I know that they're two different brushes, but I'm just letting you guys know that. But in general, you know, pretty similar looking. They're soft. These brushes don't shed. I find with a lot of brushes from Priceline and the cheaper brands that they shed. Sigma brushes don't shed, or at least that one hasn't for me. These brushes don't shed. They're really good quality for the money. They have so many different brushes to choose from that you can use for tons and tons of different things, and I just really like them. So I thought that I would just come on here and do a video. I know it was kind of pointless, but I was just so excited for these brushes, and I'm definitely going to keep looking for if they come out with new brushes, or maybe invest in some of their eyeshadow brushes, because I don't know, but I don't really love to buy things online. Like I do buy things online, but I don't kind of go crazy just because then I have to pay for shipping, I have to wait for it to come. I would much prefer to just go to a store and buy things sometimes. So it's nice that a brand in Australia has come out with kind of really good decent brushes that you can buy at some place like Priceline. They also have another kind of collection of brushes that are all black, and they're really small, so they're really great for traveling. They have like a kabuki brush and like a little small flat top kabuki brush that kind of looks like the e.l.f. powder brush, but it's like a really small version. They just have a ton of brushes, and they have dual-ended brushes that have colored tips. They're just really good, and I'm really glad that they're coming out with more brushes because it's so easy for me to just drop down to Priceline and get a good quality brush, and I don't have to buy a good quality brush online all the time. And that's basically about it. I just thought that I would do that. Let me know if you would like any more of these videos where I kind of just talk about things that I really like. I know I do favorites videos, but sometimes I might buy something from brand, or I might get like, you know, something like a dupe for something. Like I think these are dupes for Sigma, so if I get like another dupe, let me know if you want me to do more videos where I just kind of talk about things that I'm liking and just kind of let you guys know. That's basically it. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it, and follow me on my social media, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.